Your Honor, I have the evidence right here. Let me see it. It's my police badge. It proves my authority. A badge isn't enough. What's your motion? I move for an immediate dismissal. On what grounds? Your Honor, FBI, we are taking over.
On what grounds? This is highly irregular.
National security, it's out of your hands.
Not in my courtroom. Show me the order.
You'll have it.
The gavel cracks and its sharp sound echoes through the room like a gunshot. A man's life hangs in the balance. We trust our courts to be pillars of justice. But what happens when the judge himself is the criminal? What happens when the man in the black robe is a racist so consumed by hate that he will plant evidence on a black man just to secure a conviction? He is about to ruin the wrong man's life because that man is not just a defendant. He is a federal agent and he is recording everything. The air in courtroom 3B of the Davidson County Courthouse feels stale and heavy, thick with the scent of old wood polish and cheap coffee. This is Judge Reginald Voss's domain, and he rules it like a bitter king. Voss, a man whose face seems permanently fixed in a sneer of mild disappointment, looks down from his elevated bench. His eyes, the color of faded denim, scan the defendant standing before him. The defendant is Jamal, simply Jamal on the docket. He is a black man in his late 20s dressed in an orange jumpsuit that does nothing to conceal the powerful build of his shoulders. His face remains calm, almost unnervingly so. Docket number 719B, the People versus Jamal Turner, the clerk drones. The charges are resisting arrest and assault on a peace officer. Not guilty on all charges, Your Honor, Jamal says. His voice is deep and steady, completely free of the fear Voss is accustomed to hearing. Voss leans forward, his spectacles slipping down his nose. Assault on a peace officer, Mr. Turner, that is a serious charge. Officer Landry claims you broke his hand. Officer Landry slipped on a wet sidewalk while trying to tackle me for fitting a description, Jamal states. I put my hands up and he fell. I never touched him. A likely story, Voss scoffs, ignoring the young public defender Paige Bennett, who is frantically trying to interject. Paige, barely 3 years out of law school and overwhelmed by an impossible caseload, finally speaks up. Your Honor, Mr. Turner has no prior offenses. The assault charge is clearly an overreach. The officer's own partner's report only mentions resisting. We believe Officer Landry embellished his report after the fact. We ask for release on recognizance. Voss gives her a pitiless look. Do you know the conviction rate in my courtroom, Miss Bennett? It is high. I do not tolerate attacks on law enforcement. He looks back at Jamal. This fitting a description. Were you by chance in the vicinity of the Mill Creek robberies? I was 2 miles away walking home from the bus stop, Jamal says. That is what they all say, Voss murmurs, loud enough for the court reporter to catch. He shuffles his papers. He sees a black man. No job listed on the intake form, no permanent address, transient, dangerous. In Voss's mind, the case is already closed. I am not letting a potential cop beater back on my streets. Bail is set at $100,000. Paige gasps. Your Honor, for a resisting charge, he cannot possibly... He cannot. Then he should not assault police officers, Voss snaps. 100,000 cash or bond. Next case. He bangs the gavel. As Deputy Colton Shaw, a stocky man with a face like a bulldog, grabs Jamal's arm, Jamal looks directly at Judge Voss. He does not look scared. He looks interested. It is a look of pure analytical focus. Voss feels a strange chill. He dismisses it as indignation. The arrogance of these people, he thinks. Jamal is led from this courtroom into the holding pens. The moment the heavy steel door clangs shut, he sits on the cold bench and closes his eyes. The Jamal Turner persona melts away. Special Agent Jamal Thorne of the FBI's Public Corruption Unit begins his assessment. The initial sting, Operation Gavel, was simple. Send in an undercover operative on a minor manufactured charge to see if the courthouse's bail bond system is crooked. They suspected kickbacks, but Judge Voss had not taken the bait. He had not assigned a specific bondsman. Instead, he had done something worse. He had revealed a bias so profound, so hateful, that the entire focus of the operation is about to shift. In the FBI van parked 2 blocks away, his team listens. He set bail at $100,000, Agent Lena Costa whispers, staring at the audio levels for resisting. He is not just biased, he is proud of it, says Agent Garrett Reynolds, the team lead, but we do not have enough. A racist judge setting high bail is not a federal crime, it is just Tuesday in America. Jamal will stay in, he will process through intake. No, Reynolds says, a grim look on his face. This judge is arrogant. Let us see how arrogant. Let us post the bond. We will use a shell company. Let us see what Voss does when this transient walks free. The plan is set. They will pay the bondsman a $10,000 premium, and Jamal will be out. But in his chambers, Judge Voss is stewing. He pulls up the file for Jamal Turner. He stares at the man's impassive mugshot. $100,000. He knows the man cannot pay it. He will sit in county just waiting for a trial. Then he will be so desperate he will take a plea. That is how the system works. That is how he makes it work. He buzzes his clerk. Get me A.D. Alina Harrison on the phone. When the prosecutor picks up, Voss does not waste time. Harrison, that Turner case, the resisting charge is flimsy. Landry's partner is waffling. I want you to find something better. I want this one to stick. Judge, Harrison sighs, I cannot just invent a charge. I am not asking you to invent it, Voss says, his voice dropping to a silken, dangerous tone. I am asking you to find it. This man assaulted an officer. He is a menace. Do your job. He hangs up. He looks at the mugshot again. You will not look at me like that in my courtroom, he whispers to the photo. I will make you pay. Judge Voss arrives at the courthouse to find a message on his desk. Jamal Turner had posted bond. Voss stares at the note from the bail bondsman, Alpha Omega Surety. He had never heard of them. He throws the note in the trash. The man had walked 100,000 just like that. The judge's face purples. He feels defied. This Jamal Turner is not who he seems. He is connected. He is, in Voss's twisted worldview, an organized, high-level criminal. The kind he really hates. The kind who thinks they are smarter than him. He slams his office door. The thick oak rattles in its frame. He buzzes his intercom. Shaw, my chambers, now. Deputy Colton Shaw does not just work for the courthouse, he works for Judge Voss. They had come up together. Shaw, the failed cop. Voss, the ambitious prosecutor. Shaw had been Voss's fixer for 20 years, a blunt instrument for a man who considers himself a surgeon. Shaw enters, his bulldog face set in its usual sour expression. Problem, Judge? The Turner case from yesterday, Voss says, pacing. He posted bond. Shaw grunts. Rich for a bum. He is not a bum, Voss spits. He is something else, and I am not letting him walk. The assault charge is going to fall apart. Landry's partner is recanting, says Landry tripped. He is a coward. Shaw stands silently. He knows what this prelude means. We need something that sticks, Voss says, stopping his pacing. He walks to a locked filing cabinet in the corner, one that does not match the rest of his office furniture. He opens it with a small private key. Inside are not files. Inside are dozens of small plastic evidence bags. Some contain syringes, others small glass vials, and many hold baggies of white powder. It is a dragon's hoard of confiscated, lost, and mishandled evidence from a decade's worth of cases, his insurance for difficult situations. He pulls out a small bag containing about 20 grams of cocaine. This was from the State versus Morales case. The case was tossed on a technicality. The evidence was supposed to be destroyed. Shaw's eyes light up with a sick understanding. You want to? The defendant's property bag is still in courthouse holding, Voss says, his voice a low hiss. He was processed, but his bond posted before he was transferred to county. His personal effects, his wallet, his keys, his phone, they are all in a locker downstairs. You want me to drop this in his bag? Shaw states. It is not a question. I want you to find this in his bag, Voss corrects him, his eyes like ice. You were doing a routine inventory of the holding lockers, and you noticed a pungent odor. You opened the bag to verify the contents against the manifest, and this poison fell out. Shaw nods, a slow, greasy smile spreading across his face. A pungent odor, got it. But Judge, the booking officers searched him. They inventoried his stuff. Their report will say the bag was clean. The booking officers are lazy, Voss says dismissively. They missed it. It was tucked in a lining. A simple mistake. Your diligent recheck is what caught it. You are a hero, Shaw. You stopped a major trafficker. He hands the baggie to Shaw. Shaw palms it, his thick fingers closing around the plastic. And Turner, he bonded out. He is probably on his way to the courthouse right now to pick up his effects. The bondsman indicated he would arrive shortly. Voss looks at his watch. When he arrives, he will not be picking up his property. He will be getting a new set of bracelets, and this time there will be no bail. And the public defender, Bennett, she will scream. Let her scream. Voss sneers. It is her word against a decorated bailiff and a sitting judge. I will deny the motion to suppress from the bench. I will fast-track the trial. Mr. Turner will be an inmate at the state penitentiary where he belongs. Shaw nods. I will take care of it. He leaves the chambers. Judge Voss sits back in his chair, straightening his robes. He feels the familiar, satisfying click of the world reordering itself to his liking. Justice, he thinks, is about maintaining order, and he is the only one with the strength to do it. Down in the property room, Shaw moves with practiced ease. He has the keys. He knows the camera blind spots. He finds the locker marked Turner J. He opens the sealed paper bag containing Jamal's belongings. Inside are a cheap wallet, a single key, a pack of gum, and a pair of dark sunglasses. Shaw sneers. He unzips the inner lining of the paper-thin windbreaker Jamal had been wearing, shoves the baggie deep inside, and zips it back up. He then reseals the main property bag. He walks to the clerk's window. I am doing a spot check on holding property. That Turner file, pull it. Jamal Thorne walks into the courthouse, dressed in the civilian clothes his team had stashed for him. He approaches the property window. Here to collect for Jamal Turner, he says. The clerk, a young woman, looks up, then her eyes go wide. Oh, sir, could you wait right here? Jamal feels the shift instantly. The air is charged. From the side door, Deputy Shaw emerges, flanked by 2 sheriff's deputies. Jamal Turner? Shaw barks. That is me. You are under arrest. For what? Jamal asks, keeping his voice level. I am out on bond. For trafficking narcotics, Shaw says, pulling out a new set of cuffs. He holds up the bag of cocaine. We found this in your property. Slick. Looks like you are not just a cop beater. You are a poison peddler. Jamal looks at the bag, he looks at Shaw, and then he looks up directly at the security camera in the corner, a camera he knows Shaw thought was a blind spot. He slowly, deliberately puts his hands behind his back. I see, he says. You are going to want to get the judge. I think he will want to be here for this. Shaw laughs. Oh, he knows. He is the one who told us to be on the lookout for trash like you. As the cuffs click shut, Jamal's FBI handlers in the van are watching a different feed. Not the courthouse camera. They are watching the live feed from the pinhole camera hidden in Jamal's sunglasses, which is sitting right inside the secured property bag. They have a perfect high-definition audio and video recording of Deputy Shaw's hands unzipping the bag, planting the drugs, and resealing it. In the van, Agent Lena Costa hits the record button a second time, saving the file. Oh my God, she whispers. He did it. The judge's own bailiff planted evidence on a federal agent. Agent Garrett Reynolds is not celebrating. His face is granite. Get the AUSA on the phone now. Tell him Operation Gavel is dead. This is Operation Trojan Horse and we are in. The news of the second arrest hits Paige Bennett like a physical blow. She finds Jamal back in the courthouse, holding cell already in a fresh orange jumpsuit. They say you had 20 grams of cocaine, she says, her voice trembling with disbelief, in your property bag. Jamal, please tell me this is a mistake. It is a mistake, Jamal says, his voice calm, but it is not the one you think. It is a plant, Paige. A plant? Who? The booking officers. Think about it, Jamal says, steering her. Who has access? Who has motive? Who was so angry I made bail that he would risk everything to keep me in? Paige's blood runs cold. Judge Voss. He is the head, Jamal says, but he would have a hand. Who brought me in? Deputy Shaw, Paige breathes. He was the one who announced the find. Oh God. I want a suppression hearing, Jamal says. I want it fast, and I want Shaw on the stand. I want Voss presiding. Jamal, that is suicide, Paige protests. If Voss is in on it, he will just deny the motion. He will bury us. We need to file for a new judge, a change of venue. No, Jamal says, his tone final. I want him. I want him to rule on this. I want him to sit on that bench and listen to the lies he orchestrated. Can you do it? Paige looks at the man in front of her. He is not scared, he is angry. It is a cold, controlled fury she has never seen before. It scares her, but it also emboldens her. A suppression hearing? She nods, her own resolve hardening. I will file the motion by noon. I will cite an impossible chain of custody. They will have to respond. Good, Jamal says. And Paige, do not worry about the trial. Just focus on this hearing. Focus on Deputy Shaw and watch the judge. Watch every single move he makes. Courtroom 3B is packed. Word has gotten out. The high bail cop beater is now a high-level drug trafficker. The local news has sent a sketch artist. Judge Voss takes the bench, his face a mask of solemnity. We are here for a motion to suppress in the case of the People versus Jamal Turner. Miss Bennett, you may proceed. Paige stands, her hands shaking but her voice clear. Your Honor, the defense moves to suppress all evidence, namely a bag of narcotics found in my client's property bag. The discovery of this contraband is a legal and logistical impossibility. Mr. Turner was searched by 2 booking officers. His property was inventoried and sealed. This discovery by Deputy Shaw hours later in a secure area is a clear violation of chain of custody protocols and reeks of prosecutorial misconduct. ADA Lena Harrison stands up, red-faced. Objection, she is accusing an officer of the court. I am accusing no one, Paige cuts him off, her voice ringing with newfound confidence. I am stating facts, and to clarify those facts, the defense calls Deputy Colton Shaw to the stand. A ripple goes through the courtroom. You could not just call a bailiff in the same court. Voss glares at Paige. This is highly irregular, counselor. These are irregular circumstances, Your Honor, Paige counters, unless the prosecution wishes to stipulate to the facts of the discovery and risk having the evidence tossed on procedure alone. Harrison and Voss are cornered. Fine, Voss snaps. Mr. Shaw, take the stand. Shaw, looking uncomfortable in a suit instead of his uniform, is sworn in. Paige approaches the witness box. Deputy Shaw, please describe to the court the events leading to the second arrest of my client. Shaw recites the story Voss had fed him. I was conducting a routine inventory of the property lockers. I came to locker 14B assigned to the defendant. I noted a pungent chemical odor. A pungent odor? Paige asks. From a sealed bag of cocaine? Inside a sealed property bag, inside a locked steel locker. Shaw flinches. It was strong. So strong that no one else smelled it, not the 2 booking officers who stood inches from the property, not the property clerk. I am just telling you what I smelled, Shaw says, his voice rising. And what did you do? I followed procedure. I opened the locker and the property bag to verify the contents against the manifest. I discovered the narcotics tucked into the lining of the defendant's jacket. You opened a sealed evidence bag? Property bag, Shaw corrects. A bag sealed by another officer without a warrant, without a witness. I do not need a warrant, Shaw yells, looking to Voss for help. It is courthouse property. That is enough, counselor. Voss interrupts, his voice a low growl. You are badgering the witness. I am trying to understand how evidence magically appears in a secure locker, Your Honor. Paige shoots back. Are you accusing my bailiff of planting evidence, Miss Bennett? Voss asks, his voice deadly. Paige feels her blood freeze. This is it, the moment of truth. She looks at Shaw sweating in the stand. She looks at Voss, a predator on his throne. She looks at Jamal, who nods at her just once. What I am saying, Your Honor, Page says, turning to face the judge directly, is that the chain of custody is irreparably broken. The testimony of this witness is self-serving and defies logic. There is no way this evidence can be admissible in a court of law. It is fruit of the poisonous tree, and the tree itself appears to be rooted right here in this courthouse. A collective gasp goes through the gallery. Judge Voss's face is no longer just purple. It is a mask of pure, unadulterated rage. He stands up, towering over the court. This hearing is over, he roars. Miss Bennett, I am finding you in contempt. 10 days in the county lockup. Your Honor, ADA Harrison yelps, shocked. And as for this motion, Voss spits, it is denied wholly and completely. I find Deputy Shaw's testimony to be credible, and I find your behavior, Counselor, to be despicable. The evidence stands. Mr. Turner will be tried for the full extent of the law. He looks at Jamal, a triumphant, hateful sneer on his face. You should have taken the plea, son. Now you are facing 20 years. He bangs the gavel. Court adjourned. Deputies, take Miss Bennett into custody. 2 officers move toward a stunned Page. Shaw is stepping down from the stand, a smug grin on his face. Jamal Thorne simply watches. He looks at his shaking, terrified public defender being grabbed. He looks at the smug bailiff. He looks at the triumphant, racist judge. And in the van, Agent Garrett Reynolds turns to the lead AUSA, Cameron Fletcher, who has been listening to the entire feed. Now? Reynolds asks. A USA Fletcher, a man known for his icy calm, is visibly shaking with anger. Oh yes, now. He picks up his phone and hits it. The moment Judge Voss's gavel strikes, the main doors of courtroom 3B burst open. It is not a tentative push. The heavy oak doors slam against the walls, the sound cracking through the stunned silence like thunder. 3 men in dark blue suits with U.S. Marshals emblazoned in yellow on their tactical vests enter first. They fan out, creating a perimeter. They are followed by 3 more people, Agent Reynolds, Agent Costa, and Assistant U.S. Attorney Cameron Fletcher. What is the meaning of this? Voss bellows from the bench, though the color is draining from his face. This is my courtroom. Not anymore, Fletcher says, his voice cutting through the air. He walks directly to the center of the room, holding up a file. Reginald Voss, this proceeding is concluded. This courtroom is now a federal crime scene. Insolence! Voss roars, though his voice wavers. Deputies, arrest these men for disrupting a court proceeding. The 2 deputies holding Page Bennett's arms look at the U.S. Marshals, then at Voss, then back at the Marshals. They freeze, letting Page go. Deputy Shaw, who had been halfway to the door, makes a break for it. Colton Shaw, Agent Reynolds barks, his voice the command of a man who does not get argued with. One of the Marshals, moving with impossible speed, cuts Shaw off, spins him around, and slams him against the wall. You cannot do this, Shaw shrieks, his face pressed to the plaster. Yes, we can, Agent Costa says, pulling out her own cuffs. Colton Shaw, you are under arrest for conspiracy to violate civil rights, possession with intent to distribute, and perjury. The courtroom explodes. The gallery is in chaos. The reporter is sketching furiously. Voss is on his feet, his face a mottled, terrified white. This is a travesty, a joke. On what grounds? On whose authority? On my authority, Fletcher says, stepping up to the bar, and on the authority of the United States Department of Justice. He looks at the Marshals. Take him. 2 Marshals begin to ascend the steps to the bench. No! Voss shrieks, backing away. You cannot. I am a judge. I am the law. You are a judge, Fletcher says. Now you are a defendant. And as for the evidence, he gestures to the holding cell. A Marshal unlocks the door. Jamal Thorne walks out. He is not in an orange jumpsuit. He is not cuffed. He walks calmly to the center of the courtroom, brushing a piece of lint from his sleeve. Judge Voss stares at him, his mouth opening and closing. You. Jamal looks up at the man who had tried to destroy him. Me. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out his credentials. He flips the leather wallet open. Special Agent Jamal Thorne, he says, his voice clear and resonant, filling every corner of the room. FBI, Operation Gavel. Scratch that. Operation Trojan Horse. Page Bennett, now standing beside ADA Harrison, puts her hand over her mouth. Oh my God, the evidence, Jamal continues, his eyes locked on Voss. It is all right here. The initial approach, the absurd bail hearing, your illegal order to ADA Harrison to find something on me. It is all on audio. Audio? Voss whispers, sinking into his high-backed chair. But you, Jamal says, pointing at Shaw, who is now weeping as the Marshal cuffs him, you were the real prize. You and your boss. He turns back to Voss. You see, Judge, when you have a target, you put surveillance on them. Or if you are smart, you get them to put surveillance in their own secure room. Jamal looks at Agent Costa. Agent, the display. Costa nods to a tech by the door who wheels in a large monitor. She plugs in a laptop. This, Jamal announces to the courtroom, is from a high-definition audiovisual pinhole camera, the one that was in my sunglasses, the sunglasses that were in my property bag. Costa hits play. The courtroom watches in horrified silence as the monitor plays a first-person view from inside the property bag. They see the bag unzip. They see Deputy Shaw's thick fingers. They hear his grunts, and they see in perfect, undeniable clarity as he pulls the baggie of cocaine from his own pocket and shoves it into the lining of the jacket. A woman in the gallery screams. Ada Harrison looks like he is going to be sick. "That is a fake," Voss stammers. "That is CGI. It is a deep fake." "It has been verified by the FBI forensics lab, Judge," a USA Fletcher says, "and it is corroborated by the audio from your chambers, the audio where you gave him the drugs from the Morales case." Voss stops speaking. The fight is gone. He looks old and small and pathetic, a deflated costume in a judge's robe. "Reginald Voss," Fletcher says, reading from the warrant. "You are under arrest for conspiracy, fabrication of evidence, violation of 18 U.S. Code Section 242, the deprivation of rights under color of law, and a dozen other charges we will be adding by the end of the day." The marshals do not wait. They take him, one on each arm, and pull him from his chair. The man who had been a king just moments before is now a prisoner. "You cannot," he whimpers as they pull his arms behind his back. "I am a judge." "You are a disgrace," Jamal Thorne says, his voice quiet. As Voss is let out, his eyes meet Jamal's. The hatred in them is still there, but now it is diluted by pure abject terror. Jamal turns to Paige Bennett, who is staring at him, wide-eyed. "You are an FBI agent," she stammers. "Yes, ma'am," Jamal says. "And you let him find me in contempt? You were going to let them take me to jail?" Jamal's expression softens. "My team was in the hall, Miss Bennett. Those deputies would have never gotten you past the doors, but I needed you to do what you did. I needed you to fight. You're a hell of a lawyer." He turns to AUSA Fletcher. "This courtroom is secure. Let us start processing the files. I have a feeling Judge Voss's insurance cabinet is just the beginning. The arrest of a sitting judge is not a quiet affair. The fall of Judge Reginald Voss is an explosion. The FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office do not just arrest Voss and Shaw. They seize 2 decades worth of records from the Davidson County Courthouse. The insurance cabinet in Voss's chambers is a treasure trove of corruption. It turns out Voss is not just planting evidence on people he does not like. He is running a massive extortion racket. He targets defendants he knows have some money, small business owners, middle-class families. He has Shaw or another corrupt deputy plant miner contraband. Then Voss's preferred and crooked defense attorney, a man named Elliot Beck, approaches the family. "Judge Voss is a hard man," Beck would say, "but I can make this go away for a price." The money is paid, and Beck and Voss split it. The charges are miraculously dropped on a technicality. The Jamal Turner case is different. It is not about money. It is about hate. Voss sees a black man who defies him, and he skips the extortion part and goes straight to destruction. It is this act of pure, unadulterated racism that proves to be his undoing. Deputy Shaw, facing 30 years in federal prison, begins to sing. He sings a song of 20 years of corruption, bribes, and planted evidence. He gives up names, dates, and cases. He implicates Elliot Beck. He implicates 2 other deputies. He implicates ADA Harrison, not as a co-conspirator, but as a man who knows when to look away, which is a crime in itself. Harrison is disbarred. The biggest bombshell Shaw drops, however, is about the resisting arrest charge that started it all. Officer Landry, the cop who claimed Jamal broke his hand, is Voss's nephew. The entire fitting a description stop, the escalation, the assault, it is a setup from the word go. Voss has been using his nephew as a street-level enforcer, targeting people in neighborhoods he wants to cleanse for his developer friends. The FBI had started by pulling a thread and had unraveled the entire rotten tapestry of the county's legal system. Paige Bennett is for a time overwhelmed. The young, idealistic public defender has been a pawn in a game she could not even see, but when AUSA Cameron Fletcher offers her a job in the U.S. Attorney's Office, assigned specifically to the Voss case review, she takes it. She is not a pawn anymore. She is a queen, and she is furious. She becomes the lead investigator in charge of reviewing every single one of Voss's convictions. It is a Herculean task, and it is heartbreaking. She finds file after file of men, mostly black and Latino, who have been railroaded, who have taken deals of a lifetime, pleas for 10 years to avoid a 30-year sentence on planted evidence. The media circus is relentless. "The judge of shame," one headline screams. "Voss's lair, cocaine and corruption," reads another. "The trial of Reginald Voss is swift. It is not a trial, it is a formality." With the video from Jamal's glasses, the audio from his chambers, and the testimony of Colton Shaw, the defense has nothing to offer. Voss, stripped of his power, his robes, and his dignity, sits in a suit that is now too large for him. He has aged 20 years. His arrogance is gone, replaced by a trembling, pallid fear. He tries one last time. He takes the stand in his own defense, claiming he is set up, that the deep state FBI has framed him. On cross-examination, AUSA Fletcher lets him talk for 10 minutes, digging his own grave. Then Fletcher simply walks to the monitor and plays the video from Jamal's sunglasses again. "Special Agent Thorne's glasses, Mr. Voss, were they part of the deep state? Was the pinhole camera a political operative?" Voss's defense rests. The jury is out for 45 minutes, guilty on all 47 counts. The sentencing hearing is set. The federal courthouse, a modern glass and steel building, is chosen specifically to break from the dark wood and corruption of Voss's old domain. The sentencing judge assigned to the case is a surprise to no one, Chief Judge Eleanor Thorpe. Judge Thorpe is a legend, a black woman who has started her career as a civil rights lawyer in the Deep South. She has faced men like Voss her entire life. She is known for her brilliant legal mind and her absolute intolerance for injustice. Voss is wheeled into the courtroom in a wheelchair. His lawyers claim he is too ill to stand. Judge Thorpe watches him, her face impassive. The prosecution, led by Fletcher and assisted by Paige Bennett, asks for the maximum life in prison. Mr. Voss, Paige says, making the closing statement for the prosecution, did not just break the law, he was the law, and he twisted it, poisoned it, and used it as a weapon against the very people he swore an oath to protect. He built a kingdom of lies and he populated his dungeons with the poor, the marginalized, and the people whose skin color he did not approve of. He is not just a criminal, he is a walking, breathing constitutional crisis. Then it is Voss's turn to speak. His lawyer, a court-appointed federal defender, stands. My client Reginald Voss is a broken man. He is 68 years old. He has a heart condition. A life sentence is a death sentence. We ask for mercy for the time he has already served. The courtroom is silent. Judge Thorpe looks at Voss. Mr. Voss, do you have anything to say for yourself? The old, frail man looks up. His eyes are watering. I made mistakes, he whispers. I lost my way. I let the pressures, the animals, I let them get to me. I just wanted to clean up the streets. I did what I thought was right. Judge Thorpe listens. Then she takes a sip of water. She sets the glass down and she begins. Mr. Voss, she says, her voice quiet but carrying the weight of generations. You come in here in a wheelchair you do not need and you speak of mistakes. A mistake is when you dial a wrong number. A mistake is when you spill your coffee. You did not make mistakes. You made choices. You chose to pervert the sacred trust this nation placed in you. You chose to wield your power not as a shield for the innocent but as a sword against the vulnerable. You speak of animals. The only animal I see in this courtroom is the one that devours hope, the one that shreds the Constitution, the one that preys on the weak. And that animal, sir, is you. Voss visibly recoils. You did not just lose your way, Judge Thorpe continues, her voice rising, not in volume but in power. You bulldozed a new path paved with the lives of the men you framed. You sat on that bench wrapped in a robe that men and women far better than you have worn with honor, and you turned it into a shroud. You framed an undercover federal agent. You were so blinded by your own bigotry, so assured in your own power that you did not just commit a crime, you committed a stupid crime. You were a dragon and you were brought down by a man you considered a fly. She looks at her papers. You ask for mercy, the very thing you denied every single man and woman who stood before you. You speak of your heart condition. What of the heart of a mother whose son you sent away for 10 years for a baggie you put in his pocket? What of the heart of a community that you taught to fear the one building that is supposed to be their last refuge? The video of you, she says, in your chambers handing that bag of cocaine to your lackey. That video will be shown in law schools for the next 100 years as a definition of deprivation of rights under color of law. I am sentencing you, Reginald Voss, to the maximum allowable under the guidelines for every single count to be served consecutively. You are 68 years old. That means your sentence is 120 years. You will leave this courtroom and you will be transferred to a federal supermax facility. You will not be given a private cell. You will be in the general population. You will wear a number. You will die in prison. And when you do, the only justice this court will recognize is the closing of your file. We are done here. She bangs the gavel. It is the crack of a whip. As the marshals lift the now sobbing Voss from his wheelchair and drag him from the court, Special Agent Jamal Thorne, watching from the back row, allows himself a small, grim smile. The fall of Reginald Voss is not a single event, it is a detonation. The shrapnel from his ruined kingdom tears through the state's legal system, and the shockwave is felt for decades. His sentencing by Judge Eleanor Thorpe, 120 years in a federal supermax, is the end of his story. A final pathetic whimper as he is wheeled sobbing into a transport van, but for the hundreds of men and women he has crushed under his gavel, it is a beginning. The hard, slow, agonizing work of justice has only just started. The first ripple begins with a man named Calvin "Cal" Hayes. Cal Hayes has been inmate number 1. He is arrested at 22 for possession with intent to distribute, a charge he never understands. He is a line cook, has never touched the stuff, but he has been pulled over by Officer Landry for erratic driving, and a search of his trunk, conducted while he is cuffed on the sidewalk, produces a brick of heroin. His public defender, terrified of Judge Voss, advises him to plead. He is offering 15. If you go to trial, he will give you 50. Cal, facing a lifetime, takes the 15. His daughter is 1 year old. He has never seen her walk, never heard her first words. Paige Bennett, now working as a special investigator for the U.S. Attorney's Task Force, finds his file. It is buried in Voss's insurance cabinet in a folder labeled Landry's Triumphs. Attached to the police report is a small handwritten note in Voss's spidery script. This one will set an example for the Mill Creek crowd. EB owes me one. EB, Elliot Beck, Voss's crooked lawyer. It is not just a plant, it is a conspiracy to frame a random citizen to settle a favor. Paige flies to the state penitentiary. She meets Cal in a gray cinder block room that smells of boiled vegetables and despair. He is 34 but looks 50. His eyes are dead. Mr. Hayes, she says, her voice shaking slightly. My name is Paige Bennett. I am with the U.S. Attorney's Office. I am reviewing convictions made by Judge Reginald Voss. Voss. Cal spits the name. Yeah, I remember him. He is the one who sent me here. What is it to you? You want to add more time? Judge Voss has been arrested, Paige says gently. He has been convicted on 47 counts, including fabricating evidence. We have reason to believe your case is one of them. Cal stares at her. He does not move. Do not, he whispers. Do not come in here with that. Hope is a sharp thing in a place like this. You do not play with it. I am not playing, Paige says. She slides the note across the table. This one will set an example. Cal reads it. His hands, scarred from prison laundry work, begin to tremble. He looks up and for the first time in a decade his eyes focus. A single hot tear traces a path through the grime on his cheek. You mean we are filing an emergency motion to vacate? Paige says. It is being heard tomorrow. I just needed to tell you in person. The next day, Cal Hayes, in a loose-fitting suit the prison keeps for court appearances, stands before a new judge, a federal judge. Paige Bennett presents the note. She presents Colton Shaw's sworn testimony about how Voss's insurance stash worked. She presents the evidence that Officer Landry has been Voss's street-level enforcer. The judge, a no-nonsense woman named Clark, reads the file, her face growing darker with every page. She looks at the state prosecutor. Do you have any argument as to why I should not grant this motion, counselor? The prosecutor stands. No, Your Honor. The state has no objection. We apologize. Judge Clark bangs her gavel. The conviction of Calvin Hayes is hereby vacated with prejudice. This man's record is to be expunged. He is to be released from custody immediately. Mr. Hayes, you are a free man. Cal's knees buckle. He falls into his chair, not making a sound, just shaking. Paige puts her hand on his shoulder. It is over, Cal. It is over. He is the first. He is not the last. The Gavel Project is born that day in the hallway outside the courtroom when Cal's 13-year-old daughter, a stranger to him, runs into his arms. Paige Bennett watches them, weeping, and makes a vow. She will find every last one of them. She resigns from the U.S. Attorney's Task Force and, using seed money from a legal defense fund, opens a nonprofit in a cramped two-room office. Its sole mission is to find and free the victims of Judge Reginald Voss. While Paige is building a new world, the old one is burning. The hard karma of the law moves slower than a prison shank, but it cuts just as deep. Colton Shaw, Voss's brutal fixer, learns this firsthand. Stripped of his uniform and his power, he is just another inmate at the federal holding facility, awaiting transfer. He is loud, arrogant, and stupid. He tries to bully other inmates, tries to throw his bailiff weight around. It ends in the prison common room over a game of cards. Shaw accuses another inmate of cheating. Words are exchanged. Shaw, used to being the toughest man in the room, shoves the inmate. The man, a lifer with nothing to lose, simply stands up, pulls a sharpened piece of metal from his waistband and drives it into Shaw's neck, severing his carotid artery. Colton Shaw, the man who has gleefully planted evidence to destroy lives, bleeds out on a sticky linoleum floor, choking on his own blood. His last sight is the bored, impassive faces of men watching a broken television. His end is as meaningless and brutal as his life has been. Officer Landry, Voss's nephew, fares little better. He is tried separately. His partner, the one Voss has called a coward, is the star witness. He testifies that Landry has bragged about Voss taking care of the resisting arrest charge. He testifies that Landry has intentionally and maliciously tripped, then screamed his hand is broken, all as part of a practiced routine. Landry is convicted of perjury and assault under color of law. The judge, an old-school conservative who despises dirty cops, gives him the maximum, 10 years. The last anyone sees of Trent Landry, he is in a drab state-issue blue uniform, mopping the floor of a prison mess hall. An older inmate accidentally kicks over his bucket, splashing gray water all over the floor. Clean it up, pig, the inmate sneers, and Landry, weeping, does. The most humiliating fate is reserved for Elliot Beck, the crooked attorney. He is not a criminal, not in a way the FBI can pin. His name is on no notes. But he is an unethical lawyer. The State Bar Association, in the wake of the Voss scandal, launches its own investigation. They find a pattern. Dozens of cases where Beck has taken on a client only to advise them to plead to a deal Voss has prearranged. He is in effect a sheepdog herding his own clients to the slaughter for a kickback. His disbarment hearing is a quiet, sterile affair. No grand jury, no dramatic speeches, just 3 aging lawyers on an ethics board. Mr. Beck, the chairman says, you have violated the most sacred trust between a lawyer and a client. You are not his shield. You are the judge's knife. This board finds that you are unfit to practice law in this or any other state. You are hereby disbarred. Your license is revoked, effective immediately. Beck, who has built a life of luxury on the backs of framed men, is ruined. His firm collapses. His partners sue him. His wife leaves him. He loses his house, his car, his membership at the golf club. 6 months later, a man pulls his Mercedes into a downtown parking garage during a rainstorm. An attendant in a cheap yellow slicker, his face gaunt and unshaven, limps over. "Ticket, sir?" The attendant asks, his voice a whisper. The driver looks at him. "Hey, do not I know you? You are Elliot Beck, are you not?" Elliot Beck just stares, the rain dripping from his nose. "That will be $10 for the first hour, sir," he says, holding out a trembling hand. The city of Davidson itself is hemorrhaging. The Gavel Project, in partnership with several major civil rights firms, files a class action lawsuit on behalf of the 412 men and women who have been wrongfully convicted by Voss. The number of lives he has destroyed is staggering, 412 people, an average of 8 years served per person. That is 3,296 years of life stolen. The city council holds an emergency meeting. The city attorney, a woman named Chen, stands before them, her face ashen. "We cannot fight this," she says. "The evidence is absolute. Voss kept records of his crimes. We are liable. The plaintiff's initial settlement demand is $350 million. The mayor chokes. "We do not. Our entire city budget is $200 million. "Then I suggest you find it," Chen says, "because if we go to trial, a jury will award them double that. The city is forced to declare bankruptcy. City services are slashed, pensions are cut, the backlash is immediate and furious. The mayor is recalled, the chief of police is fired, the entire judicial system of the county is dissolved and put into receivership. As a final symbolic act, the Davidson County Courthouse is stripped of its name. It is renamed the Eleanor Thorpe Justice Center after the judge who has finally brought the gavel down on Voss, and Courtroom 3B is gutted. A construction crew is brought in. They tear out the judge's bench with crowbars, the dark wood splintering. They rip up the carpet stained with God knows what. They tear the seal of the state off the wall. The room where so many lives have been destroyed is brick by brick unmade. It is rebuilt as the courthouse's new public law library. The first book placed on the shelf is a copy of the U.S. Constitution. After his sentencing, the new law library is quiet. In an office building 2 blocks away, the Gavel Project is a hive of activity. The walls are covered with photos, not mugshots, but real photos. Men at barbecues, women holding their grandchildren. Calvin Hayes, now a case manager, is on the phone walking a newly released man through how to get a driver's license. The door opens and Jamal Thorne walks in. He is in a simple polo shirt and jeans, looking more like a civilian than Paige has ever seen him. "Agent Thorne?" Paige smiles, standing up from her desk, which is overflowing with files. "Or should I call you Section Chief Thorne? I heard about the DC promotion." "I turned it down," Jamal says, taking the cup of coffee she offers. "Desk job, not for me." "Somehow I am not surprised," she laughs. They stand for a moment just listening to the sound of the office, phones ringing, a man laughing, the clack of a keyboard. It is the sound of lives being rebuilt. "You know," Paige says, her voice quiet, "I still have nightmares about that courtroom, about him finding me in contempt, that feeling of absolute powerlessness." "He was a monster," Jamal says, "but monsters only have power when they live in the dark. We just turned on the lights." "That video," Paige muses, looking out the window. "That little camera in your sunglasses, it was the smallest thing. It is almost absurd. All these lives, this whole city changed because of a tiny piece of plastic." Jamal looks at the wall of photos. He sees Calvin Hayes coaching his daughter's soccer team. "It is always the small things, Paige," Jamal says. "The small acts of defiance, the small quiet voices that say no, the one person who decides to fight. That is what changes the world." He finishes his coffee and places the empty cup on her desk. "You have done a good thing here, counselor." "We are just getting started," she says, her eyes shining with a fire he remembers from the suppression hearing. "But are you just here to say hello?" "No," Jamal says, his expression shifting, becoming focused. "I have to go. I am due in court." Paige frowns. "Another case here?" "No, different city, same story," he says, walking to the door. "Undercover?" she asks, a note of concern in her voice. Jamal Thorne stops at the door and looks back, a small grim smile on his face. Just a man walking home from the bus stop. He walks out into the city, a city that is healing, a city that is learning to trust the law again, and disappears into the crowd, just another face. But he is a guardian. He is the man who walks into the dark carrying his own small, unblinking light. What you just heard was a story, but the themes are real. Every day people are fighting against systems of hate and corruption. The actions of one racist judge like Reginald Voss can destroy thousands of lives, but the actions of one brave agent and one dedicated lawyer can bring that whole rotten structure crashing down. Justice is not automatic. It has to be fought for. If this story moved you, please hit that like button. It tells the algorithm that these stories of justice matter. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. We have so many more stories to tell.